Hey out there, today we're going to go through some of my older pictures from some of my sales to look at how the company has evolved when it comes to displaying items and taking pictures for sales. Because that is definitely something that I had to get better at as an estate sale provider, and it was not something I was so awesome at before. A lot of the reason that our display has improved is because of my team. Although, I mean, you get better at it as you go on, but it definitely was not something that I spent much time paying attention to in the beginning. And so we're going to look at some of the mistakes that I made, and then we're going to look at some of the ways that it's fixed over the years, so that you can get a good idea of what looks good at a sale, what's going to make a sale sell, for when it comes to pictures online, and then just the overall aesthetic to the shopper. And so we'll kind of go through some of the things that I literally items that I sold at a previous sales, and then what I've sold now. And if you are someone who has been thinking about starting an estate sale business and you're wondering uh, how to do so, I have a generosity estate sale masterclass that goes through the from the very beginning of starting an estate sale company to managing an estate sale company and everything in between. And we talk about organization, pricing strategies, time management, just business, different things like that. And it's a full course that you can get, and it is on Teachable. I'll put the link below. It is $299. You also get a full contracts unit with it. So if that's something that you think you might be interested in, I know that these are all mistakes that I made at the beginning that I would not have made if I'd have taken my own course. So these are all in a full course that you can take, that once you're done with that course, you will be ready to go and prepared to go get your first client. The first pictures we're going to look at are going to be electronics, and electronics are always difficult to display because, first of all, wires are always in the way all the time. And if I had a nemesis, it would be wires. I phone cords, this particular one on top had a lot of landlines that had cords. And so not only did you have the cord to the phone, but you had the cord from the phone to the wall. And so there's that problem. Then you have the wires for all the electronics, the printers, the VCRs, the DVD players. And if you look at the time now, granted, I did not, the sale's like the third sale that I ever did. And again, if you are a client of mine who's this house in the early days, I'm so sorry for using the picture as an improvement technique. But um, I did not have a lot of shelves in the beginning. I was trying to acquire as much stuff as I could. So in this particular case, I was using tables that I had available, and you just kind of work with the space that you have. So that makes a huge difference. But one of the things that I did change moving forward was wrapping the wires up into like a zip tie or taping them to where they were out of the way, because wires make everything look messy. And I realize that it might take a little bit of extra time, but if you have a lot of wires in a sale, basically you can see how it can go from looking like just a heap of chaos to looking like a actual intentional display. So that's definitely a suggestion that I have. And we happened to, and one of the sales that we had literally um, thousands of zip ties that they had accumulated over the years. So we ended up keeping those, and I would just go through and zip tie, zip tie, zip tie, just to get everything out of the way. And so that's kind of what you're looking at right here. Now what I do is, if you see those wires down at that in the top picture, you see the wires down at the bottom. I actually zip tie all those, bundle them and zip tie them, and then put them in a large bag. Because when you end up with a lot of wires at a sale, none of those are going to sell by themselves. A lot of those are like telephone wires that aren't connected to anything, cable ties or cable plugs that most of us have in our houses anyways. So what I would do is I would group them all together and put them in a huge clear bag, like get a gallon bag or something, and sell them as one group. So people would be more apt to do that and spend $1 on that than try to sell them all individually. And it looks so much better. And it makes a lot more sense for people if you do it that way. So the second picture that we're going to look at is lamps. And lamps, I used to do lamps like this all the time, where I would just group them all together and put them together in one space. And I didn't have them turned or plugged in. I didn't have them turned on. And I just thought that was the best way to do it. Lamps also have wires. So yeah, it just didn't look good. Lamps are a great addition to a sale because they provide extra light, and lamps always add ambiance. And so when it comes to displaying lamps, you want to put them places and plug them all in and turn them all on if they work, because number, like I said, it provides more light, but it also makes things look so much better around it. When you can see a lamp that's in the middle of a as a design choice, it makes it a lot more appealing, and people want to know that lamps work. So you kill two birds with one stone in that particular scenario. It makes everything around it look better, and it makes it more lit, and customers are more likely to purchase a lamp. So just don't clump lamps together. It takes up a lot more space, to be honest with you. Okay, so let's talk about blankets and towels. And so you can see here's the thing about blankets and towels when it comes to shopping. People will pull everything apart if you let them pull everything apart. And so, and then you're constantly having to go back and like fold towels and fold sheets and all that stuff. So if you look at the bottom or at the top, you can see everything was just kind of thrown in the closet. If you look at the bottom, now we go through, and this is how we sell towels. If there is a way to find all of the pieces of that particular towel design and sell them as a set, we will. So if you have all the same hand towels and the same bath towels, we'll put two bath towels, two hand towels together, and then we wrap them in masking tape, and they're all wrapped together. The only time we don't do that is if there's some type of stain or something that someone needs to see in the item. But other than that, if it's in good shape, we're wrapping it all together, and then most of the time we'll use our color coded wrapping system. So if we have like a $5 tape, then we'll wrap the whole thing together and it will be sold as a set. You'll get more money for towels if you sell them as sets as opposed to just by themselves. And we do the same for sheet sets, because sheet sets need to come together. And so we wrap them in tape, and then we on the tape we actually write what size the sheet set is and what's included in it, so that people can just take it and go. And you'd be surprised how many people buy it like that, because it looks nice and tidy, and they can actually see what it is they're getting. And taking that a little bit of extra time to put the sets together when it comes to linens is very, very effective when it comes to selling it later. So looking at that, say, I just happened to come across a picture that had basically the same type of dresser as the other picture that I had, and you can see the difference. When you are trying to sell furniture, furniture is always tricky because you want to use it. It has a lot of space that you can use it to display. So you want to try to do that if you can, but you don't want it to be so cluttered that you cannot see the piece of furniture, because people won't even see the dresser. All they'll see is, like in that top picture, all they'll see is the hats. And like you can look, those two things look like totally different dressers, even though they're probably the same color and similar design. The one in the bottom looks so much more appealing than the one on the top because we just threw a bunch of hats on top of it. Um, and see, there's hats in both pictures, which is so interesting. And what you don't see in the bottom picture is that right next to that dresser, there is a mannequin from the 1920s. It's from Neiman Marcus store in Dallas, Texas, and it was in amazing shape. And so the whole aesthetic of that entire space looks so good, and all those hats, all those old types hats that we found looked so lovely. Whereas opposed to on the top, it didn't look that way. And what I would probably have done in that top picture is, again, pulled a lamp and put that in, because it was obviously in the corner of a room. Make the light look a lot more, make it look more bright, and then probably found a way to hang those hats up because there's probably some cool hats in there. Okay, lastly is something that can be overlooked a lot, and I know that I did, is the garage. And I did not spend a lot of time displaying the garage. And the garage is where a lot of your money is going to come from, to be honest. So it's important that people can see. So first and foremost, the top picture was one I put on our Facebook. I mean, I think I used it as an advertising. So look how horribly lit that picture is. I should have opened up that garage and let the light come in from the outside to have more of a light, which is exactly what happened in the bottom picture. Because nobody could see anything in there, and it looks like a cluttered up mess. It does not look organized. And so if you look at the bottom, that particular like um wood shelf or whatever, that woodworking table was attached, so we weren't selling that. So we used that opportunity. I shouldn't say we, my team members used that opportunity to put everything on top of there and to really display it nicely. And to the left, you'll see that it kind of starts with some fishing nets, but there's a ton of fishing equipment that's right there, and they really had it displayed nice. The top picture is dark. It has no rhyme or reason to how I mean, honestly, that embarrasses me that I would have even have put that. And I remember that sale, and it was, I don't know, 10 years ago? No, maybe 8 or 9 years ago. And a lot of the time, the display of a sale is going to come down to time management and how much time are you spending getting yourself ready for the sale. Because if you wait until the last minute and you don't leave yourself enough time, you end up with a messy looking area. So that's part of the problem, is if you're just trying to rush and do things really fast. So give yourself enough time to actually display items, and you don't want to overdo it, obviously, but people do need to be able to see what's there, and it does need to look appealing. And you need to take pictures that are well lit, where people can see the colors of things. I mean, you can't even see the color of what some of those things are in that top picture. Um, but you just need to think about that as you're going through it. You're not a boutique. You don't have to set things up like Neiman Marcus, but you do need to make sure that you are doing the items justice in both the pictures and in the display. And so, yeah, I hope that gives you some good ideas about. Oh, and the other thing about garages that I do now that we didn't do then, price tags are a pain in the rear end, when it comes to garage items, because garage items are just dirty anyways. That's just the way that they're going to be, and you do not want to spend all your time cleaning screwdrivers and all that stuff just to get the price tags to stick. So we started using masking tape and wrapping, because masking tape did not fall off, and that sped the process up along so much better, so that we could, have some good displays and make sure things were displayed. So these are just some tips and tricks from those of you that are either in an estate sale business, or if you are doing an estate sale for family and friends. And if you are in Grand Prairie or the surrounding areas, we would love to talk to you if you have an estate sale that you need to have done at your house. Below, I will put a link below to our schedule questionnaire, so that you can fill out exactly what's going on with your sale, and we can get to know you a little bit better, and then schedule a time to discuss your options. So as for now, bye.